Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new edition of Virtue and Vice, brand of wrestling, right here on the BigVitoBrand.com. I am Virtue, being joined, as always. Well, I always say that, but then when I say that, like the next week, you're not on. He's here with me now. I think as long as we can mesh our schedules, with the live no DQ review every week, I think it works out. So,
Absolutely.
But anyway, everybody, the remarkable Robbie Vice, what's up?
Man, we just came off our Royal Rumble, which is not my favorite match of all time, but I thought it was pretty fun. I know you want to talk about some.
Okay, before we even talk, because that is what we're going to talk about, the two winners, female and male, and their paths to WrestleMania and other big matches not involving them that we could see. Why do you not like the Royal Rumble? Why is that your least favorite? Like, you've touched on it before on the review and other things, but like, tell the BigVitoBrand.com right now exactly why. Was there any Rumble match or event that ever? What about '92 when Ric Flair won?
I like the outcomes of some of the matches. I like the story that it pushes. I just think the match itself is boring. Outside of the surprise entrance, the actual physical match inside the ring, 9 out of 10 times it's boring. So my girlfriend doesn't watch wrestling at all. She doesn't really understand what's happening. And she's a good kind of base. And she watched the Royal Rumble with me. And, you have three people that have someone almost vertical over the ring. They could easily just push them. She's like, why don't they just push them out? But then all of a sudden they just set them down and walk away, and they go start doing that to somebody else. It's a series of rest holds. And I don't find the actual in-ring work exciting at all. The coolest things that happened to this Rumble was, the Naomi spot I thought was super athletic. I think Morrison did that, didn't he, at some point? Jumped and climbed on the Spider-Man.
And we know, and everything. Kofi's done over this. Let me ask you this, though. Naomi did that. Why didn't you just camp over on that tape? Well, she kind of did. She kind of camped over there for 5 minutes, which is a great strategy. Why don't they do that more often? Slide under the rope? Like, did the refs tell you have – like, unless they should make a rule, like if you slide out under, like not over the top rope, you have to get back in like 20 seconds, or the
they should have a count out. I think they should absolutely have a count out at the Royal Rumble, because how many times do we see someone that you just forget about that just comes back and wins? Isn't that how Vince McMahon won?
Well, and they do the fake injuries and stuff. So you're right. Yeah. If you can't get back in the ring, and maybe not a 10 count, but a 20 count, something like that, then you should be eliminated. But
and you know what? I also think as fun and entertaining as these like Kofi Kingston and John Morrison things are, I think it's played out. I think if you go over the top rope, whether you land on stupid fat Otis's stomach or you land on your hands, I think you're done. I think you should just be out. You go over the top rope, you touch anything that's touching the ground, anything other than the apron, you're out. Your finger touches it, you're out. You touch the steps, you're out. Announce table, you're out. The guardrail, you're done. It's just not exciting anymore because it happens too much. And I just think it's just boring and predictable. Like I said, outside of waiting for who's coming out next. And also, man, if I'm going to really complain about it, I also hate hearing the fans counting down from 10 about 60 times in one night and hearing that stupid buzzer go off. And I don't know, man. There's just a lot of things about the Royal Rumble that I just despise outside of the narrative, the surprises, and the story progression it has.
So let's talk about the women's Royal Rumble from this year.
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair won. Now, last year, she should have won. Like Becky did the whole gimmick where Becky came out and took someone's spot. Who was it? Carmella?
Lana's, wasn't it?
Lana. Yeah, whoever she came out, wasn't in the match, took the spot, and then won it. Like, didn't make sense. I wish they would have just rather had her be in the match.
Yeah.
But Charlotte was the runner-up. But Charlotte did get into the main event of WrestleMania, like I said she would last year, and she did. This year, they went with her. We all know Charlotte is going to get to her daddy's record. Like, that's probably their long-term goal. So a lot of short title reigns to do that. I didn't mind this so much. I was really banking on Ronda Rousey coming back. I love how Ronda trolled the fans. Will she come back? Tweet. Won't she? Yeah, I don't know. But I'm happy that Charlotte won because I knew it would piss a lot of people off. She gets that Roman heat from like 3 years ago, like how Roman got. Yeah. She gets that now for the women. But like, what stood out? You not liking these type of matches? What stood out? Like for me, like Beth Phoenix, right? She owned the match. I mean, should she have got thrown out because she had an injury? Should they have injury protocols? I mean, we don't know exactly what happened to her. She needed staples, what it was. But some people on Twitter and the internet, veterans of the business, said that was a great visual to see her blonde hair with that
Yeah, it
red.
was.
That was like Ric Flair. So her being in that match, you know, it was like, wow, this is something cool. So I thought she absolutely stole the match. And now with her, you know, being the NXT female commentator, you know, the whole angle with Edge now and Randy heading to WrestleMania, which I'm actually more excited for that match than I'm going to be for Drew Galloway, McIntyre, and Brock, and probably Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley. Just because I know they're going to put personal stuff into this feud.
Yeah.
I think they might even use Beth Phoenix. She might even get an RKO. Kind of like how Shawn Michaels' wife got punched by Jericho. I know she wasn't
For
really
real,
supposed to
too.
get punched. But like I like that kind of stuff. The CM Punk and Jericho WrestleMania feud and the alcohol stuff. That's what I like about Mania. So the female Royal Rumble, I did like Charlotte winning, and I did like the Beth Phoenix. Did anything else stick out to you? Were there horrible spots or just like, oh,
Yeah,
and
there
I
was
know
a lot of horrible
you better
spots.
bring the one thing up I know you're going to talk about, and I'll give you a clue. I think it was a complete jab at AEW's women's division.
Oh God.
Go.
So yeah.
Tell me some more thoughts about the female Royal Rumble from your point of view.
So the female Royal Rumble was pretty good up until the end, and that's what I'll end on. Look, I said this on the review. I really thought, and obviously she's injured, that Sasha Banks would have been a great candidate to win this because she would challenge Bayley, and I think that match is money because that's the greatest NXT women's match I've ever seen in my life. I thought Naomi looks great. Naomi has been hitting the gym hard. She looks leaner. I like the big natural hair look on her. She is such a great personality and wrestler, and I really hope she comes back and does something meaningful because we could do with less Natalya on TV. The Beth Phoenix thing I thought was great. It was a good visual. It brought me back to that old Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes kind of bleeding, and it kind of gave the match some credibility. But when we talk about towards the end of it, we had Santino come out as Santina, which I'm going to get this out there. I hate Santino. I've never found him funny. I think he did the Tea Party thing once, and I chuckled. Was that with Sheamus, I think.
I don't ever remember laughing at him. I mean, with him, I always laughed at it.
Right.
Like, you're bad. Like, ugh.
And they had, Sasha wasn't in there. Rhea Ripley wasn't there. Because I know TJS on No DQ was asking me, well, there's no one else you would put in that match. I would put any of the legends in over him. I would put, Lita and Trish in that match. I would have put Sasha Banks in that match. I would have put your NXT champion in that match instead of this asshole. And I just thought it's just in 2020, I just feel like it's such a dated thing, especially when they're trying to push themselves at this women's revolution. They're going to pull shit like that. I just thought to me, I no longer cared about the women's rumble after he came out there. He eliminated himself with the Cobra. There was no reason for that to be such a high number. He could have came out at number 2 or 3, or he could have came out as just Santino himself and got destroyed by Lesnar, for the first 9 people that didn't matter. I just didn't really understand the direction that they took with that. And I thought it was stupid, but was that a jab at Nyla Rose and AEW? And if it was, I think that's I don't really agree with that. But I don't know. I mean, we like to think of these people as just executives, but these guys are some old school dudes, and they're in competition. They're at war, so to speak, because AEW is combating WWE's developmental thing, and apparently that's a big deal to AEW. So maybe they're going to take a jab at him. I don't know.
Now, I think so. I'm fine with Charlotte winning.
Yeah, and for
course,
sure.
Charlotte and Becky,
she deserves it.
We've seen Charlotte and Becky time and time again.
Right.
We don't know if Ronda's going to be back for Mania.
Real quick, is that becoming the Cena-Randy Orton feud for the women?
I think so. And even Charlotte versus Bayley just won't pop. But then I got to thinking, if this rumor is true and it is Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley, either Charlotte's going to become the NXT World Champion, or whatever they call that now, and going to show up on weekly NXT against AEW, which is a good move, or she's going to put Rhea Ripley over, right, and give her the rub. Yeah. So, I want to see what happens with that. And right now, the rumors would be probably Shayna versus Becky, potentially Sasha versus Bayley, and then if Charlotte does challenge Rhea Ripley, we'll see.
Those are 3 solid matches, too.
And then, of course, we know we're going to get Orton versus Edge now. I mean, I'm pretty confident that that's not going to happen in Saudi. Is Saudi Arabia before WrestleMania this year?
To be honest with you, I don't know when that show is.
I think it's
going to be Blood Money 3, right?
Yeah. 4, 5, 6, 10. I don't know. But let's talk about the men's Rumble because I like Drew McIntyre winning it. I think he was made when he got the elimination on Lesnar. I think if he would have lasted all the way to the end, and he would have been the one to eliminate Edge, so Roman could, because people wanted to see Edge win at that point, and then Roman eliminated McIntyre. I would have liked to see Roman win this coming off of leukemia. Then it would have been like, hey, I'm Roman. I'm finally back in the main event. And he's going to challenge The Fiend in the SmackDown spot. That would still leave it open for Lesnar to need an opponent. And because McIntyre was the one that eliminated him, you could still have that too. I know people would probably say Roman doesn't need it. It was good for McIntyre. Again, I think McIntyre was made when he eliminated Lesnar. So did you see anything differently in this whole match? Maybe I don't think Ed should have won because, realistically, he's back to have personal feuds, to work with safe workers. You don't want to be seeing Edge versus you don't want to see Edge versus Brock Lesnar, right?
Jesus Christ, no.
So what's your take now on the men's? So you know what my opinion was.
Yeah, my favorite spot, I think, in the men's rumble was the Keith Lee standoff with Lesnar. Lesnar's nodding, going, "Oh, he's a big boy." You know what I mean? Like, it's just. And then with Shelton Benjamin coming out as well with Lesnar, I just really enjoyed that throwback because they were really good friends. They were, I believe, in college together. The reason that Shelton Benjamin actually got his big break was because I think Lesnar demanded that if he's going to sign, that he wants his buddy to sign with him. So that was a good nod. Braun Strowman came out, which is fun, but I just don't take him seriously anymore. I think he's like the new Big Show. They've already missed the boat with him. He would take some serious repair to come back. I don't know what else happened. AJ Styles got hurt.
What do you think of Matt Riddle's spot, basically getting thrown out quickly by Corbin? We know what the backstage heat supposedly was. Do you think that he should have been thrown out there to Lesnar? Do you think Lesnar refused to work with him? Or do you think maybe Triple H is protecting Riddle, thinking, all right, he's running his mouth, but we don't want him to go out there and get buried by Lesnar, so let's just go and get heat on Corbin, and then Vince, you know what I mean? If anybody was pissed that Riddle, that Lesnar got upset at Riddle, maybe this was like, to keep everybody in check without like burning Riddle too much. But I thought that was interesting. I mean, if somebody has heat, like Enzo heat, Riddle wouldn't have even been in the Rumble. He wouldn't have been booked with Pete Dunne to win the Dusty Classic and to get NXT tag title shots. So I think there's some conflicting things going on. I think people in NXT like Triple H, Shawn Michaels, William Regal, like Matt Riddle, and see him as a potential big match guy because he's very versatile in the ring. I know his character has something to be desired, especially for you. But I think this is just a lot of backstage politics and bullying because guys like Lesnar and Goldberg know what Riddle can do in the ring, and everybody tries to keep the younger guys in check. I mean, even Andre, for the longest time, didn't want to put Hogan over, but he did.
Right.
So I don't know. It was weird to me, that whole Riddle thing. I'm very surprised they even had him there in that match.
Yeah, but I think he was punished. I think, because look, a punishment isn't always the worst thing ever. I mean, Triple H was supposed to win King of the Ring, and they did the curtain call that now, is it still infamous because Vince showed it on TV? I don't think he cares anymore, but, basically just breaking kayfabe. And that led us to Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Triple H eventually got his, and it all worked out. I think Matt Riddle has a lot of potential. I don't like his gimmick. I don't think his gimmick works on the main roster as it is. But that's not saying some slight tweaks, maybe make him a serious heel a little bit and just have him come out and destroy people. And people, I loved Ken Shamrock, and I think he could fill that kind of Ken Shamrock role on the main roster. But yeah, I think he got thrown out, and I think he probably got thrown out a little bit earlier just because of what he said. But again, as I said on the review, man, I love what he did. He's not my favorite character. In ring, he's great. Lesnar would crumple him in real life, but
I think he has Enzo heat. Because we never really talked about that in depth on the review. I brought it up and everyone kind of sidestepped it.
I don't think he has Enzo heat, no.
Okay. I don't either. Because obviously, look, he's getting booked strong in NXT still.
If he had Enzo heat, he wouldn't have been involved in the Royal Rumble match at all. They would have sent someone else out there. So
and they probably would have had him and Dunn lose and maybe went with the other. Yeah. So good points there. So are you okay with McIntyre winning? I know you kind of said you'd be. you saw my point from Reigns winning over on.
Well, I wanted Cena to win. I wanted Cena to come back and challenge Lesnar and beat Flair's record. I thought that would have been a big thing for him to do, have a small run, and then be in the Hall of Fame next year because he obviously wants to do the Hollywood movies more so than wrestling. I thought that would have been a fitting end. Drew McIntyre.
Think they're saving. That could still happen.
It could.
Cena. Yeah. I think they're saving that for Charlotte. I really do.
Probably right. Yeah.
I think Charlotte's going to be manufactured to be better than her dad. Well, I mean, in the title reign category.
In the world of wrestling, like in the kayfabe
in the
sense.
WWE bubble, yeah.
Right, yeah. But I really wanted to see Cena win. After Cena, I wanted to see Roman Reigns win. Drew McIntyre, it's a surprise, and it's different, so I'm not going to fault them for that because this is the first Rumble in a few years where I didn't pretty much figure out who's going to win. Like the last 4 or 5 people in the ring, I was like, it could literally be any of these people, and it's been a long time since we've seen that. So it's new, it's exciting. I think Roman or Cena is the safer choice, but they're not going with the safe choice this time, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
Dude, it dawned on me. Did they officially rename the NXT Women's Championship to the NXT World Championship?
I don't know. I think so.
If that's official, is that a dead giveaway that Charlotte's going to win it? Because then it would count on her World Championship resume towards her dad. Whereas if it was just the NXT minor league belt, that's going to be an interesting story to follow to see if that does happen, if she does win it, if it does count. I just want to throw that out there.
I'm going to throw this out there. I would like to see eventually NXT, WWE, and SmackDown unify all of the titles and have maybe 3 undercard belts, a main champion, a female champion, or whatever you want to call it, and a tag team title. And
bounce.
Yeah, and the champions look, and that's how it should be. The champion, it should be one of your best workers and people that is the most over right now, and you have them on the most TV shows. That also means that when feuds start to get stale, all of a sudden they start showing up on Raw every week instead of showing up on NXT or SmackDown looking for a challenger. I don't know. I just think there's a lot more value in that, and it would make the championships feel like championships again, like they did back in the Attitude Era. I mean, that's what's missing right now is we can say things like, oh, Edge is above the Universal title. But would we have said that in the 80s with Hogan? Like, oh, Hogan doesn't need the title. No, you want Hogan to have the title club because that title's important. And it's just not that way anymore.
Dude, so I don't know. I got a feeling that McIntyre is not going to beat Brock.
I don't think he's going to beat him.
I mean, if that happens, that would be 2 jobs in a row that Brock did at Mania. And he just put Rollins over twice last year, Mania and SummerSlam.
It depends, though, man. If Claymore kicks him in the dick, he's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen, but I almost feel like it's just designed for Brock to get another win at Mania. I don't know.
Yeah, I think if McIntyre wins, he'll be losing it by SummerSlam to somebody else.
Now,
I can't foresee him being a long-term champion.
I wanted Roman to win, but we know, guess what's still open? It's McIntyre chose Lesnar. So the Fiend. Now we know Daniel Bryan has basically challenged the Fiend now, I think twice and lost, and it has not come back with the title. So this leaves the door wide open for Roman Reigns. So I think we are going to get now the question is if it is Roman versus the Fiend for the Universal Championship, maybe Daniel Bryan gets involved in a triple threat, maybe not, we don't know. What match closes the show? Lesnar. I don't think it's going to be the women this year. We can rule that out. So you think it would be Lesnar and McIntyre as a closer?
Yeah, because if McIntyre wouldn't have won the Rumble and he just eliminated Lesnar, I think it'd be a toss-up. The fact that he eliminated Lesnar and he won the Royal Rumble, I think that just says that they're really pushing this right now to be a credible challenger to Brock Lesnar, and I feel that has to be the main event.
All right, but here's my little philosophy. Last year we know the women did it, right? But it took Ronda Rousey to be in it to do it.
That's right.
4 years prior to that, for 4 consecutive years, Roman closed WrestleMania. 4 consecutive years. The only year Roman won the Rumble was 15?
I know, 2015, 16? I think. Yeah.
15. So that means he closed Mania 3 years in a row without winning the Rumble. I think Roman might close WrestleMania.
Only if he beats the Fiend. Only if he's going to go over the Fiend, that may very well go on last. But if he's not going over the Fiend, I think Lesnar will go on last.
Yeah. But again, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I know geeks, smarks, whatever. That's the kind of stuff I like to see how it plays out. Yeah. Any other potential big matches for Mania? I mean, they're going to have 15 matches, counting the 8 hours the whole day of WrestleMania. What are we missing? I mean, we pretty much nailed all the big matches, right? What
Uh,
were some of the other rumors? Are there any other
well,
sizable matches that could happen?
I'm sure we're going to have Humberto and Andrade and Rey Mysterio, which this is an unpopular opinion, and I don't know if you share this. Are you about just done with Rey Mysterio? Like, I just don't feel, I don't care. Like, every time he comes out, I don't care. I don't even not like the guy because I respect everything he's done. I have zero investment and zero reaction. I could give it or take it or leave it every time he comes out anymore.
This stage in his career, he should be like an AEW trying to build up the Lucha Brothers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
something.
Yeah. So because it would seem more like a build up. They need more name power over there, right? So
for sure.
In WWE, he's like stale now because he's done everything there. And in AEW, we probably wouldn't feel this way. I don't know, but that's just whatever. What are you gonna do? I don't know. I think that's everything I'd like to see at Mania. I still don't know if I'm going yet. I've went the last 2 years. I'd like to. I mean, I can afford to, but I'm going to make that decision probably by the middle of February.
Where is it this year?
Tampa Bay.
I mean, that could be fun.
Yeah, I know. So we'll see. Stay tuned. We got to get Aaron Riff to like buy my ticket or something, then maybe I'll go down.
Yeah.
That's it, man. I mean, we talked the Royal Rumble winner, so we'll see how it all plays out. We do know as of this recording, it is Drew McIntyre challenging Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. Right now, it's only rumored that Charlotte will be challenging potentially Rhea Ripley. We will see what happens with that. Will Ronda come back and get involved in the mix? Will people that want Shayna versus Becky get pissed if Ronda comes back and it's Ronda and Becky? We'll have to wait and see. I think it would be great if Charlotte's going to challenge Rhea Ripley. I think it would be great for Ronda to come back and challenge Becky to have that one-on-one match they didn't have last year. And then no matter what happens, if it was just a one and done for Ronda, say she wins the title, then you could have then she could drop it to Shayna.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? There's ways out of it, or Ronda might want to work longer and she might take it to SummerSlam and then she could drop it there. We'll see. That's what WrestleMania. They're going to take the 4, 5, 6 big matches of the 15. And they're going to put effort into them, something they don't do all year round. That's why I like WrestleMania. Even last year, as much as I hated Kofi, what was I invested in? For Daniel Bryan to retain because I didn't want to see Kofi win because I thought it was just weird and the placement of his whole career. But the fact is I was invested for him to lose it. And guess what? Even though he won, I was invested. You know what I mean? Even Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins. And that's what I like about Mania. They actually give you effort. Clearly already doing it with Orton and Edge.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, as Big G would say, man, I just think I agree with everything you just said.
What did he disagree with? Aaron gave him that segment.
Yeah.
He disagreed, but it was not something you think he'd disagree with, right?
I think he disagreed. Something about the Roman push would Matt
Riddle
would get the Roman push. Yeah, and it took him forever to he was teeter-tottering. It's like, here, easy spoiler alert, no one is getting the Roman Reigns push except Roman Reigns or whoever the next guy is.
He almost talked himself into Riddle getting the push.
Yeah.
Because he knows I like Riddle, and I've been tweeting about Riddle for the last 48 hours.
Yeah, you pissed a lot of people off, dude.
Dude. Well, first of all, all right, I'm not the big MMA UFC guy.
Sure.
Okay. And I know they're different divisions and they're different weight classes. And Brock Lesnar 10 years ago would kick Matt Riddle's ass of 10 years ago, 5 years ago of today. Older Brock today, maybe Riddle. I think Riddle could kick Brock's ass today. Slower Brock, older Brock. But again, that's neither here nor there. Wrestling isn't about real fighting. It's all staged and made up. But like Riddle was successful in UFC. He won 5 matches in a row. But then he got caught pot twice, and basically they kicked him out, and he just said, F it, I'm going to go into wrestling.
Yeah.
So to me, he was, if he didn't do pot, which, should pot be a drug you get in trouble for? I don't know.
In sports,
could Riddle have had a great UFC career? We don't know. He was 5 in a row, but neither here nor there. And like I said, I love, and by the way, somebody told me he wasn't a striker. At the point of his retirement from MMA, he was 8th on the all-time list with 1,350 landed punches and strikes. 8th out of what? 300 fighters? 400 fighters? 500? Now since then, other people have passed him because
Right.
he didn't have that many matches, that fights. But dude, I knew what I was talking about when I said he could possibly beat Brock because he strikes and Brock could be prone to getting struck and knocked out. But anyway, that's all I got. Anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, I think we're getting really close to the 1 year mark that you and I have been doing these. I know it was right around WrestleMania last year.
We've got to get Vito on a video then.
Yeah.
He's working and he can't do it from where he's working because it'd be unprofessional. So.
Are you guys cool at this point though? I know you guys had that thing where he kind of screwed you over.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Time heals all wounds, right?
I mean, anyway, so they say.
do your plugs.
You guys can follow me on Twitter at NoDQVice. Give me a follow. Let's talk about some wrestling. Let me know, am I the smartest guy in the room or am I just a jerk? You can always see me on the No DQ review and a bunch of other places, Virtue. Why don't you tell them if they like what they hear from me, like what they hear from you, what they see from us, where else can they find us?
Well, hey, about once a month or so, right over there on WrestlingWithWrestling.com on Andre Corbeil's YouTube page. Of course, as you mentioned, over on NoDQ.com for big pay-per-view previews and predictions, the No DQ review. Live now every Thursday at 7 p.m. You can see remarkable Robbie Vice on the show with me. And maybe after episode 100, Robbie might become the moderator. We'll see. We're only going on, 82 right now, 83 next week?
82, yeah, 83 next week.
And, of course, right here on the BigVitoBrand.com on Virtue and Vice brand of wrestling. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. You can go to my Facebook page, NoDQ.com/Virtue. Trust me, go to my Twitter, right, Rob? Because just over Lesnar and Riddle's backstage heat, I made a whole 2-day event out of it, right? I mean, that's what I do. So for Robbie Vice, I'm Virtue. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.